Comment down below what country and/or city you're watching from. And don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoy these kinds of stories. Because, folks, this one, oh, it's a full-blown 5-alarm dumpster fire of suburban chaos. Buckle. All right, let me set the stage. I'm Detective Marcus M. Allen. Part-time crime fighter, full-time magnet for absurdity. When I'm not busting petty thieves or filling out enough paperwork to kill a forest, I'm apparently an unwilling participant in episodes of America's Next Top Karen. It was a Tuesday. One of those soul-sucking gray-skied mornings where even the birds seem like they've given up. I was already behind schedule, and the only thing standing between me and the precinct was a half-empty gas tank and a questionable breakfast burrito. I pulled into the Sunoco on Bayside Avenue, half awake, juggling a coffee, a stale donut, and the will to live. I swiped my card, started filling up my dusty Ford Taurus, which, yes, is every bit as glamorous as it sounds. And then I heard the click-clack. Not just any click-clack. The unmistakable high-heeled stomp of someone who lives to file complaints and ruin someone else's Tuesday. Excuse me, I didn't even have to turn around. That voice? It had the pitch of a smoke alarm and the authority of someone who once moderated a PTA Facebook group. I took a slow breath. I already knew what I was about to face. And friends, she did not disappoint. The woman stepped into my peripheral vision like a storm cloud with lip gloss, blonde bob, oversized sunglasses despite the lack of sun, and designer purse that probably cost more than my monthly mortgage. She had the posture of someone who's never waited in line and never planned to start. "Excuse me," she said again, this time slower, like maybe I was hard of hearing or just dense. I glanced up from the pump. "Morning. You look able-bodied," she said, crossing her arms. "Most days, yeah," I replied, not really sure where this was going, but already regretting not topping off the tank the night before. "Well then, be a gentleman and pump." "My gas." I blinked. "I'm sorry?" She gestured toward the BMW X5 at the pump next to mine. It gleamed like it had never seen a dirt road. The nozzle dangled from her pump, untouched. Her tank was open. She looked back at me expectantly. "You want me to fill your gas tank?" I asked slowly, as if repeating it out loud would make it make more sense. "Yes," she said. "Isn't that what men are supposed to do?" I let out a short laugh, thinking this had to be some kind of weird social experiment. "You serious?" Her expression didn't budge. "Why would I joke about that?" "I don't even know you," I said. "And I'm already running late for work," she scoffed. "You work for the public, don't you? I saw your badge." Paused, eyebrows rising. "And? You're a public servant," she said with a smug tilt of her head. "So serve." I actually looked around to see if Ashton Kutcher was about to pop out of the car wash with a camera crew. "Ma'am, I'm a detective, not a concierge, and I'm off duty." She narrowed her eyes. "So you admit it. You have a badge." I pulled it out, flipping it open quickly just to clarify. "Detective Marcus M. Allen, City Police. Now, if you'll excuse me." She stepped directly into my path, blocking me from returning to the pump. "Oh no. No, that can't be real. You expect me to believe they let people like you carry badges? That's probably fake. You're impersonating an officer." I sighed and tried to sidestep her, but she moved with the desperation of someone who's been told no far too many times in life. "Lady, you're pushing your luck. You're threatening me now?" Her voice jumped 2 octaves. "You threatened me." I heard it. I pinched the bridge of my nose. "No, I said you're pushing your luck, as in, I'm about 2 seconds from calling this in myself." But she was already whipping out her phone like she was on a game show. "Hello? Yes, I'd like to report a crime. A man here is impersonating a police officer. He flashed a fake badge. He's harassing me at the gas station. I feel very unsafe. Please hurry." I stared at her, stunned. She actually started fake crying. "He was aggressive. I think he followed me. He might be dangerous." I waved toward the store window where the clerk was standing frozen, watching the circus unfold. "Hey, Luis, you getting all this?" He gave me a thumbs up and mouthed, "Every second." Karen turned her back to me, still on the phone, still sobbing like she was auditioning for Law & Order. Delusional Victims Unit. I casually leaned against my car, arms crossed, sipping what was left of my now lukewarm coffee. "You're just gonna stand there?" She snapped at me between fake sniffles. "Yup," I said. "Figured I'd wait, can't let this rare species of madness roam free." "You'll be in cuffs when they get here," she growled. "Enjoy your last few minutes of freedom, scumbag." "You really do love drama, huh?" I said, more to myself than her. She didn't answer, too busy pacing like she was expecting a SWAT team to descend from helicopters. I caught my reflection in the car window, tired eyes, 3-day stubble, detective's badge clipped to my belt, coffee-stained shirt. If that's what a criminal impersonator looked like now, the bar had truly fallen. About 10 minutes later, red and blue lights flashed. In the distance, Karen immediately went back into full damsel mode, straightening her posture, adjusting her makeup using the selfie cam on her phone. She even reapplied lipstick. "Finally," she muttered. "Justice." I shook my head and muttered back, "You're about to meet it." As the patrol car pulled up, I spotted Officer Jablonski behind the wheel. Great, one of my rookies. He stepped out, glanced at me, then at Karen, then back at me. "Detective Allen?" "Morning, Jablonski," I said. "Welcome to the circus." Karen rushed over before he could say anything else. Officer, thank goodness you're here. He tried to trick me. He's impersonating law enforcement and he's dangerous. He even threatened me." Jablonski looked at me, brows raised. I gave him a nod. "Go ahead, hear her out." "Oh, I've got the whole thing recorded," she said, holding up her phone like it was a smoking gun. "I have rights and I will not be intimidated." "You also have a wild imagination," I added. Jablonski pulled out his notepad slowly. "All right, ma'am, let's get your statement, and then we'll be checking surveillance footage. I'm sure the cameras caught everything." Karen suddenly looked less confident. I leaned back against my car and smiled. Showtime. Officer Jablonski looked like he wanted to be anywhere but here. He glanced from me to Karen, then back to his partner who just pulled up in a second cruiser. Officer Sandoval, a stone-faced vet with a low tolerance for nonsense, stepped out with the slow, deliberate gait of someone who smelled drama from across the block and already regretted responding. Karen flounced toward them like she was in the final act of a soap opera. "Officers, thank God you're here. He cornered me by my car, flashed some kind of fake badge, and said I had to let him search my vehicle. I think he was trying to scam me. I was terrified." Jablonski raised a brow. "Did he ask for any money?" "He tried to intimidate me into giving him my credit card," she said quickly, then caught herself. "I mean, he demanded I let him pump my gas, and when I said no, he got angry. He said I didn't respect authority." I whistled softly. "Wow, that's a new one." "Sir, please don't interrupt her statement," Jablonski said, glancing over with a diplomatic frown. "Right, sorry," I said, raising my hands. "Didn't mean to stop the improv show." Sandoval had already stepped aside and was walking toward the gas station mini-mart. Smart man. He wanted the footage before he dealt with the theatrics. Karen, still holding her phone like it was an Olympic torch, gave a wide-eyed blink and turned back to Jablonski. "I'm honestly just so shaken. I've never felt this unsafe in a public place before. I mean, just look at him." Jablonski side-eyed me. "Detective Allen, are you armed?" "I'm always armed," I said plainly, lifting my shirt slightly to reveal my service weapon, holstered and secured. "And certified 6 ways to Sunday." Karen gasped like I'd just flashed a bazooka. "See? He is dangerous." "Ma'am," Jablonski said, notebook still in hand. "If he is who he says he is, then he's legally allowed to carry that firearm. And if he isn't, well, we'll know soon enough." Karen folded her arms and huffed. "He threatened to arrest me." Turned toward her. "Lady, I was trying to pump gas. You're the one who blocked me, screamed in my face, and called 911 because I wouldn't pay for your premium unleaded." She sneered. "That's not what happened." At that moment, Sandoval reappeared from inside the store, holding a USB stick in one hand and a soda in the other. He looked amused. "Got the footage," he said simply. Luis had it ready before I even asked. Said this isn't his first Karen rodeo. Karen froze. What? He can't do that. That's a violation of my privacy. Public property. Ma'am, Sandoval said coolly. There's no expectation of privacy at a gas pump, and the store owns the cameras. I'm going to sue him too, she snapped, but her voice had lost some of its fire. Sandoval handed the USB to Jablonski, who took it like it was a sacred artifact. Karen suddenly got louder. Wait, there's more to the story, she stammered. He actually followed me here. Yeah, that's what happened. He was behind me at the light, and I think he was tailing me. I turned in here to get away, and he followed me. He blocked me in and started asking weird questions. He's obsessed with me. Jablonski blinked. So, you're changing your statement? I'm clarifying, she said, then added with a fake sniffle. I was in shock earlier. It's all just coming back to me now. I crossed my arms and leaned on my car, fighting a grin. This just keeps getting better. Karen snapped. You think this is funny? Lady, I said. You called 911 on a cop because he wouldn't fill your gas tank. And now you're trying to spin it into a stalker story. If it wasn't so sad, it would be funny. Jablonski's radio crackled. He listened for a moment, then said, Dispatch confirms the badge number matches. Detective Allen's credentials are valid. Karen's eyes widened like she'd just been slapped. Also, he added, the footage is pretty clear. No threats. No stalking. Just you confronting a man mid-pump demanding he pay for your fuel. Karen suddenly burst out, This is a setup. This whole thing was a setup. Sandoval took a sip of his soda. Ma'am, do you know that filing a false police report is a misdemeanor? And abusing emergency services, especially when you had no danger, is another charge altogether? Karen's mouth opened, then closed. For a moment, I thought we might have finally reached the end. Nope. With a shriek of frustration, she turned, grabbed a plastic water bottle from her passenger seat, and hurled it across the lot. It bounced harmlessly off my car's hood and landed near Jablonski's cruiser. Ma'am, Jablonski warned, you need to calm down. I will not be silenced, she screamed, stomping her heel. This is harassment. You're all in on it. I'm a tax-paying citizen. Yelling doesn't help, Sandoval said evenly. Throwing things helps even less. Karen turned, opened her car door and went for something in her purse. Hands where we can see them, Sandoval barked, stepping forward. I'm getting my pepper spray, she shouted. Step away from the vehicle, Jablonski ordered. I have rights. You're about to have cuffs, I muttered. Karen suddenly slammed the door, stormed around the side of her car, and shoved a nearby trash bin, knocking it over. A few soda cans clattered across the pavement. Then she picked one up and chucked it, right into the passenger side mirror of Sandoval's cruiser. It popped clean off. That was it. Sandoval moved fast. Turn around and place your hands. Behind your back. What? No, don't touch me. I'm calling my husband. He knows the mayor. I'm sure he does, Sandoval said dryly, already snapping the cuffs on. Karen screamed. Not cried. Screamed. It echoed across the gas station like a siren in a horror film. She thrashed, sobbed, cursed, and declared that this was a hate crime. Sandoval just sighed. Ma'am, you're under arrest for disorderly conduct, obstruction of justice, and filing a false police report. You have the right to remain silent. I suggest you use it. They walked her to the car, still wailing, like she was being dragged to the gallows. Jablonski exhaled, turning to me. Well, that escalated. I just wanted to fill my tank, I said. Luis stuck his head out the station door and shouted, Next time, use pump 6. It's farther from the crazy zone. I gave him a thumbs up. Noted. As the patrol cars rolled out, Karen's screams. Muffled behind the closed doors, I climbed back into my Taurus and finally finished topping off the tank. My coffee was cold, my donut had melted into the dashboard, and I was definitely late for work. But hey, justice served cold, like my coffee. A few days passed. I was back on the grind, writing reports, chasing leads, and eating too many microwaved burritos, until a memo hit my inbox that stopped me mid-bite. Subject: IA review, formal complaint. Filed at first, I thought it was a prank. Then I saw the name, Priscilla Kensington Hawthorne, because of course that was her actual name. Sounded like someone who sold antique lace and called the cops on lemonade stands. Apparently, Priscilla, had dug through. The city's public employee database found my full name and department listing, and filed a formal complaint with Internal Affairs. A 4-page manifesto, allegedly handwritten on monogrammed stationery, I wouldn't doubt it, claiming I'd abused my badge, traumatized her with toxic masculinity, and orchestrated a deep state cover-up to protect a rogue cop who harassed an innocent woman simply trying to get fuel for her vehicle. I almost choked on my burrito, and then it got better, by which I mean infinitely worse. The complaint triggered an automatic review, which meant I was placed on temporary administrative leave. Paid, yes, but the principle of it? Agonizing. So let me get this straight, I told my captain during our very awkward conversation. She demanded I pay for her gas, called 911 on me, threw trash at a patrol car, got herself arrested, and now I'm under investigation. The captain shrugged. You know how it goes, optics. We have to follow protocol. I did know all too well. And Priscilla, was reveling in it. She took to Facebook like it was her courtroom. Screenshots started circulating, courtesy of some well-meaning neighbors and an ex-girlfriend who still followed her out of morbid curiosity. In her now viral post on Bayside Community Watchdogs Unite, she wrote, I was targeted and bullied by a man hiding behind a badge. He made me feel unsafe, powerless. I'm speaking up because no woman should feel intimidated at the pump. Within hours, her post had hundreds of likes and a dozen Yaz Queen comments from people named Deborah, Susan, and other Karens in spirit. Then came the kicker. The Karen Coalition, yes, it was real, organized a silent protest in front of the precinct. 14 middle-aged women with aggressively bedazzled jeans and laminated picket signs reading, Justice for Priscilla, and Stop Badge Abuse, chanted outside HQ for an hour and a half before getting bored and going to Panera. It was surreal. One of my co-workers texted me a photo, Priscilla holding a sign that said, Even public servants must serve the public. I swear her heels were the same ones that first clacked across that gas station lot. The photo almost became my phone wallpaper out of sheer irony. I couldn't even be mad. Not really. Frustrated, yeah. She was using every trick in the Karen playbook. Public sympathy? Check. Vague emotional language? Check. Weaponized femininity, anti-authority spin, and a dash of victim cosplay? Big old check. But I wasn't new to this game. I'd seen people like her before, too entitled to be ignored, too loud to be reasoned with, and just cunning enough to twist facts into a narrative where they always came out smelling like roses, or at least lavender-scented gas station air freshener. So I took a breath and decided, fine, let her have her moment. Let her ride that wave of online validation. Because like every bad liar with a TikTok following and a vendetta, she'd eventually hang herself with her own rope. I'd already started laying the groundwork. I contacted Luis at the Sinaco and asked him to back up the full surveillance footage, not just the one showing the confrontation, but also the 30 seconds before it, where she strutted out of her car and tried to wave me down like I was her butler. Then I requested audio from the 911 call. I knew she'd embellished her story, but hearing it in full, oh, it was golden. She'd told dispatch I was a man pretending to be an officer, possibly armed, possibly dangerous, and that I'd ordered her to submit to a search of her vehicle. She said, and I quote, "He has that look, you know, like the kind of guy who's into power." I was going to frame that last line on my desk one day. All of it went into a folder I named Queen Karen's Greatest Hits. I sent it quietly, professionally, through the proper channels. No grandstanding, no theatrics, just facts. Time-stamped and verified. Because if there's one thing more satisfying than immediate justice, it's slow-burning revenge served. With a paper trail, I knew IA would take their time, they always did, and Priscilla would ride her victim complex until the wheels fell off. But when those wheels did fall off, oh, She was in for the ride of her life. While Priscilla played internet, martyr, I got to work quietly, methodically, the way a detective should. If she wanted a show, she'd get one. But it wouldn't be the spotlight she imagined. First, I pulled her public record. Nothing major, no felonies, no open warrants. But tucked between expired registrations and HOA citations was a pattern that made my coffee taste sweeter. Priscilla had a history. 12 911 calls over the past 3 years. All unfounded, all suspiciously dramatic. Most were closed with no further action taken, and a few had notes from officers about her uncooperative behavior or escalation without cause. One call? She claimed her neighbor was building a meth lab because he installed solar panels. Another time, she called 911 over a DoorDash driver who looked foreign and might be a trafficker. It wasn't a record. It was a portfolio. So I gathered everything, timestamps, dispatch logs, body cam footage excerpts. I paired it with the footage from Luis at the gas station. Thankfully, the guy was a tech nerd and had multiple angles. Audio, and even a zoom-in clip of her chucking a soda can at a squad car. I included the 911 call she made about me, especially the parts where she contradicted herself twice in 30 seconds. I filed a formal request to the DA's office to press charges for abuse of emergency services, filing a false report, and obstruction. Then I made a few phone calls. You stay in law enforcement long enough, you learn who owes you favors, and which favors matter most when you cash them in. I didn't bend any rules, just nudged the right people to take a closer look sooner rather than later. Internal Affairs wrapped up their review in 5 business days. They cleared me of any wrongdoing. Turns out facts still matter, even when you're up against a performance artist in white pumps. Back in uniform and back on the clock, I took one last step. I met up with Luis, the gas station manager, just before his evening shift. He was still riding high off the viral moment. I got offers from 3 TikTok accounts asking to use the footage. He grinned, sipping his slushie. One dude said he'd add dramatic music. I smiled. Feel like doing a public service? Luis nodded. You want it out there? Let's just say, transparency helps build trust in the community, I said. He uploaded the footage to the gas station's Facebook page and tagged the local news affiliate. By morning, it had 10,000 views and was featured in a Karen of the Week segment on Channel 6. And just like that, the narrative flipped. Detective refused to be intimidated by local woman's false claims. New footage reveals truth behind viral 911 call. Priscilla didn't make another Facebook post for days, but her name popped up again, not in a group chat or community forum, but in a court summons. The DA's office moved forward with charges. Nothing, major, just enough to sting. Misuse of emergency services, false reporting, and disorderly conduct. Misdemeanors, but stackable. And since a local reporter had caught wind of the story, the courthouse steps were no longer Priscilla's stage. They were her reckoning. I didn't go to the arraignment. Didn't need to. Justice was already warming up in the wings. The day of the hearing arrived, and let me tell you, the courthouse hadn't seen this much buzz since the mayor's mistress keyed his Tesla. Karen, or Priscilla Kensington Hawthorne, as her lawyer so dramatically announced, strolled in like she was about to shoot a reunion special for the Real Housewives of Bayside. Tight white blazer, oversized sunglasses indoors, and enough perfume to fumigate the jury box. She strutted past me like we hadn't ever met, giving me a half smirk like she was still convinced this was all a game she was going to win. Honestly, it was impressive. Delusional, but impressive. Court was called into session. Karen's attorney, some poor guy who looked like he'd drawn the short straw in the firm's office lottery, kicked things off by painting her as the victim of an aggressive authority figure and a woman traumatized by escalating male hostility. Priscilla dabbed at dry eyes with a tissue, managing a few choked sobs. It was like watching community theater, but less believable. Then it was my turn. I kept it simple, professional, brought printouts, timestamps, and a copy of the 911 transcript. The judge, a no-nonsense woman named Ramirez, eyed everything with the same expression she probably used when dealing with toddlers who bit other kids in daycare. When I asked the clerk to play the gas station footage, the courtroom dimmed and silence fell. On screen, Priscilla's entire performance unraveled. There she was, clacking up in heels, demanding I act like a gentleman and pay for her gas. Then hurling a soda bottle like a toddler denied a happy meal. The moment her voice on the 911 call started contradicting itself, even the court stenographer glanced up, eyebrows raised. Then came the kicker. Under cross-examination, Karen doubled down on her story, claimed I pushed her verbally into a state of emotional collapse, and used tone and body language as weapons. "Ma'am," the assistant DA asked gently, "did you or did you not throw a bottle at a marked police vehicle?" Priscilla blinked. "I was aiming for the trash can." Laughter broke out. Even Judge Ramirez couldn't suppress a sigh that bordered on a chuckle. "I see," the judge said, leaning forward. "So, your emotional collapse involved aiming a bottle, with deadly precision, I'm sure, at a trash can, which was positioned how far from the patrol car?" Karen froze. Her lawyer coughed into his sleeve, and just like that, the jig was up. Judge Ramirez read her the riot act. "Miss Kensington Hawthorne, your behavior was not only dishonest, it was dangerous. You abused emergency services, wasted police time, and attempted to ruin a public servant's reputation for personal satisfaction. You weaponized gender, status, and social media in a manipulative and disgraceful display of entitlement." Karen's jaw dropped. Somewhere behind her, someone stifled a laugh. "For your actions," the judge continued, "you are hereby fined $5,000, sentenced to 120 hours of community service at a fuel assistance nonprofit, and ordered to attend a 6-week course in civic accountability and behavioral management." Karen looked like someone had just told her Starbucks discontinued oat milk. "And," Judge Ramirez added, adjusting her glasses, "you will issue a public written apology to the court, to Detective Allen, and to the responding officers for your false statements. Failure to comply will result in jail time." Karen stood there stunned. Her lawyer whispered something. She nodded faintly, then she snapped, "I was scared. I didn't know he was real. He looked like a mechanic. I just wanted gas." And the courtroom, already on the edge, exploded. The bailiff had to knock his gavel twice to restore order. Someone in the back literally wheezed out, "Then bring cash, Karen." I picked up my folder, straightened my tie, and turned to leave. As I passed her, I leaned in just enough so only she could hear. "Next time," I said with a smile, "bring cash and a conscience." Mic drop. I walked out to the sound of laughter and the sweet, sweet echo of a gavel striking the bench. Justice doesn't always roar. Sometimes it clacks in heels and slips on its own entitlement. All I wanted was gas. Just a quiet Tuesday fill-up, not a front-row seat to the entitlement Olympics. But hey, life's funny like that, especially when your job is basically adult babysitting with paperwork. If there's one thing this whole mess reminded me, it's this: entitlement doesn't come with immunity. You can puff your chest, cry, on command, and weaponize your Wi-Fi following all you want, but play stupid games, and you're gonna win some really stupid prizes. Thanks for riding shotgun through this one. If you got a laugh, a lesson, or just needed to restore your faith in karma, go ahead and hit that like button, smash subscribe, and drop a comment below. Let me know what city or country you're tuning in from. And hey, don't go too far, because next time, let's just say it involves a HOA president, a drone, and a very angry squirrel. You're not going to want to miss it.